All right, we're on. It is the return of Real Talk. Yes, Wicked Tuna Real Talk. So excited that these episodes are available again for everybody on YouTube. Please go watch them. Then watch these guys rewatching them, and then you can hang out with us as we talk through everything that happened and everything that happened in the rewatch and learn a whole lot of the behind the scenes of Wicked Tuna. So yeah, I got Dave and Dave. The originals. I mean, who better to start Real Talk #1 with than you guys? How are we?
Good days, good days. Good to see you again after all these years.
I know, yes. Hey, when the Tuniverse calls, you heed the call.
There you
when
go.
it beckons, you come back. And great to see you guys. I want to talk about the episode. I want to talk about Tricky Dave over here. But this is the first one. So let's kind of, what do you remember? At some point, somebody approaches you and says, hey, I got a crazy idea to put you on TV. What happened?
I got a phone call. I specifically got a phone call from another boat captain that said, hey, a production company has been trying to reach out to you about doing a TV show on bluefin tuna fishing. And they say you keep hanging up. I thought it was a telemarketing call. So they actually did call again and explained what they were looking to do. And I was like, I'll give it a look. But I was a little hesitant to do it at first because I was just worried about, like, we all have our trade secrets and what we do. I was all about showing public about us catching fish, but I didn't want to, out of respect for other fishermen, I didn't want to show the whole world on how we were catching fish and then everybody catching fish. So I was a little hesitant in the beginning, but we worked in the contract. They weren't going to show us our little secrets. So again, I was a little hesitant at first. Said, let's give it a go and we'll check it out. And here we are 15 years later talking about episode 1. So it's pretty cool.
I thought they were crazy. I thought some crazy people from LA said, we're going to make a TV show about tuna fishing. Now, in my mind, I was like, is there a check involved? They said, yes. I said, okay, sign me up. And I didn't ask any other questions. But in my head, I was like, I wonder if they thought about making a TV show about something interesting happening, like paint drying or watching grass grow. Because what you don't see on the show is the endless amount of hours that we spend just being there on scene, right? Because let's face it, that's not good TV. You know, me sitting in the captain's chair, drooling on myself and picking my nose and chain smoking, right? Probably isn't the best TV, but you got to give credit to the editing team, right? Because they're the one, they film all of it while we're out there doing it. And then they consolidate it down into these moments that really, you know, we did our part by being there. But I have to say, they're the ones who made it good TV. You know, that production company, Pilgrim, that, you know, the teams that work there, they're the ones who pull all the raw material together and kind of make the TV magic.
Yeah, so I would imagine all you guys kind of had some of that, like, how in the heck is this going to be good?
Right,
I mean, like,
yeah.
even when you hear the name Wicked Tuna, like, it's going to be a show about fish. Like, it doesn't really make sense with the one word,
now, wait a minute,
one sentence subject.
The name was a good thing.
Oh, you like the name?
Like, the original title, the original title being kicked around was Blue Gold. And I'm sorry, I might get in trouble for saying this, but I thought that was awful. All I could think about was like a foot powder commercial, right? Because, you know, actually on the boat, you see us, we have that gold bond. It's foot powder. We put it in our boots. It's in the blue bottle, right? So that's what I thought.
You put that in your boots? I put that somewhere else.
You know,
so that's
dry them out.
interesting.
Well, dry them out.
It didn't do anything about the stink.
Feet.
No, you got the
you get the trophy for the
I remember that
feet.
one day. You know what I'm talking about.
We could smell him 2 miles away just from the feet. But, you know, so then though they filmed some, they heard us talking, they keyed in on that word wicked, right? And I think rumor I heard, or how I heard about it, you know, with the production people talking about it is, look, that Wicked, that's kind of a New England thing. It ties it into Boston. And again, once we heard Wicked Tuna,
we all agreed.
Now that's a cool title.
When you first watch episode 1, not when you watch the rewatch, but can you remember when you first watched it? Were you like, wait, that was the same thing we just filmed? What about the hours and hours of doing jack squat? Was it shocking when you first watched
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I specifically for myself, I was wowed. because when they filmed the footage on our boat, your boat, everybody else's boat, most of it was just this, nothing. But those moments that they capture on our boat, Dave's boat, Kevin's boat, Billy's boat, and Ralph's boat, and showed those moments on the TV, it was action packed.
Right. No. Look, I found even myself sitting on the edge of the seat, wanting to see what happens next. When we were, once you got past, though, I will never forget, that first episode, that first time we saw it, watching it with friends and family. That's why you weren't there, Dave. But watching it, right, all I could think about, is that what I really sound like? Is that what I really look like from behind? You know what I mean? Like, that was my natural reaction. Like, I think we all realized right away after the first few episodes were aired that we were a part of something that was pretty unique and pretty cool. Again, the way it all came together. They made it look exciting. But it's funny because, we had things while we were filming that, just natural instinct. In my head, it's like, oh, that's definitely going to make it. And I never see it in the light of day. And then we had things that, like, we totally forgot about. Like, I think it's coming up in one of the episodes. I put a little skate on my head or something.
I was in this one.
Was in this? Yeah. Was it this episode, right? Like, I didn't remember doing that till we saw it. So
it's kind of a nice look for you. Are you thinking about using that more often, maybe?
Well,
I think it's better than the hat you're wearing now.
No, let's hope not. Yeah, I've come a long way in the hat.
I don't think so. No, right? I think I go back to the skate. It looks better than whatever that is on your head.
But,
now.
people bring that up often who watch the show. And it was a fun moment. But again, for me, I just didn't remember doing that till I saw me doing it.
Well, so then you guys get famous, and we can talk about that kind of over the series of this. But eventually, you start getting recognized, and not just around Gloucester. I'm sure the first time people in Gloucester are giving you some grief about it, but you must start getting fame.
Not so much in season 1, after season 1 aired, but like. Production told us, like, if we make it to season 3, that's where you're really going to start to notice it.
Were they
and
right?
They could not be more correct. I'm in the airport, walking through the terminal in my pilot's uniform. Kind of throws people off, but I see thousands of people walking from, the check-in all the way down to my gate. In season 1, people would say something. Season 2, a few more people. But season 3, going from gate to gate to gate, people would stop me.
You like that, or do you hate it, or is there a both?
In the beginning, it's. You're humbled. I mean, it's cool. You see all the kids, the families. The kids was the biggest part of it.
Sure.
Sure.
For me, that was a great experience. But sometimes, like walking through the terminal, going from gate to gate, I'm in a rush. It's hard to stop and talk to everybody, and you just can't do it. So
right, because you were at a job, you had a professional responsibility, so you get a pass. But plus, Dave, I can only imagine though in the future episodes, along with all the good, and all that was very humbling. And look, I always enjoyed interacting with those fans because let's face it, for selfish reasons, if you take 2 seconds to say hello and you see somebody smile, and especially the kids, all right, look, for a few seconds, I feel good about Dave. Sure. Like right here, like, okay, I feel good about myself for a minute. Hey, it's selfish reasons, but that's it. But, with the way your character, shall we say, developed on the show, Dave, I mean, you must have had some awkward public moments as well.
It could, yeah.
Right?
It was, at times, yeah.
I had it easy. Yeah. I'll admit, I had it easy.
Well, I can kind of relate to .com because on the show, my radio show, I sometimes am the irritant, the evil character that Dave can play a little bit on this show. And I get a lot of grief on social media. I get a lot of grief on our text messages. I've never gotten any grief in person. Okay. It's amazing to me how little people change the moment they see you in person.
Correct. 100% right? Correct. There's have I had people? Yes. But for the amount of emails, social media, PMs that I got, where people were saying that, oh, you shouldn't be fishing. You're a pilot. You don't need the money. And every fish you catch is a fish that Marciano's not catching, and you're taking food off his table. But for the amount I got there, and for the amount of negative things that I got face-to-face was very, very little.
Dave had enough on his table. I'm just looking. I mean, he's been eating enough. He's been doing okay over there. He's doing just fine.
It's for the kids.
That's nice of you. Yeah. All right. Somehow, so you guys don't know each other when this starts, right?
We do, but not like
I knew who he was. Because again, I watched a guy like that. The guy caught a lot of fish. There's no denying that. As long as I've been tuna fishing, Dave's been a big part of those top producing boats. And even more so than myself, I think, because again, for me, I had different obligations. Tuna fishing for me was in the middle of other fisheries, right? So we do it. In my book, the key to successful tuna fishing was knowing when not to go. Because if we were going to go fishing, I needed to catch a few a week because that's our paycheck. That's the paycheck for the crew. That's it. That's the whole ball of wax. I didn't have a pilot's job. And again, that's not a slight to a Dave. Dave chose his career path. Dave built his life around tuna fishing, a fishery he loves. I identify with that. I get that. We just have two different paths that converged out there in the ocean.
But even in episode 1, the first 5 minutes of episode 1, you calling him Tricky Dave, Sneaky Dave. I mean, it starts right away. So when you hear that, I mean,
if the glove fits. Isn't that what OJ said?
I don't think he did.
No, when I hear that, I mean, I look at it as a compliment. They want what we have, and that's being successful. So if you want to call me Tricky Dave, Sneaky Dave, hey, they're catching fish. We're not. They're doing something that they're not telling us. They're being tricky. We're being successful. It's not that we're not telling them everything.
Well, you lie to him straight up in episode 1. I mean, you straight up lie to him in episode 1.
I'm not telling them the truth.
Well, I'm not sure I know the difference between that and lying, but okay. You give him false numbers right away in episode 1, which, by the way, I love. I think it's great, and it just totally sets the show up of the next 10 years, essentially, and your relationship, the two of you. But like right off the bat, was that like in the back of your mind? Like, yeah, I'm going to just show these guys what's what right away.
I mean, it's fishing. I mean, before and after the show, fishing can be a cutthroat fishery. It's tough when you get a spot and it's working for you. If you give out numbers, if I give them to him, he's going to give them to somebody else. Somebody else is going to give them to somebody else. And before you know it, that spot that you did have that was producing fish and a small spot can quickly become crowded with boats and shut you down.
So with all of that being said, it continues to boggle my mind. Bill Monty, I know he's struggling a little bit, and it kind of comes into the episode, even episode 1, already struggling and kind of. But right off the bat, even after saying you're a liar, Scott calls you names, etc., they're still asking you and then trusting you with the numbers you have. It's shocking to me.
Exactly. I mean,
it didn't take me longer than episode 1 to know, in spite of our agreement of working together, because of the TV show, I can trust what he tells me about as far as I can throw him.
Is it as simple as no one likes a winner? You said that at one point. Is it that simple, or is there more
truth to that? And that goes for sports teams too. Mm-hmm. And you personally know that. Just whenever a team is on top, they're hated, except for their local fans.
Yeah, but you also take the time to go rub it in. In fact, you call him names for coming over. He's a prick for coming over and rubbing it in after he catches a fish.
Was I really rubbing it in there?
Of course you were.
I was telling you how many we marked.
Right.
And I was telling you the truth. We marked a lot of fish. If I told you that we didn't mark a lot of fish, you would say he's lying. They marked a lot of fish. To no win sometimes.
Let's face it. I had to learn to interpret anything you were ever telling me. And that's not just Dave. All the guys, right? Everybody's the nicest guy in the world till you bolt the camera down in their dashboard and make it about competition and winning. Then all that niceness goes right out the window, all right?
Is he the most competitive guy in the fleet?
For now, yes.
At this point?
He's
yes. The most competitive guy. He's the most competitive.
Like, and I'm just not a competitive person. I'm happy when everybody's doing good.
Yeah.
All right? So, and again, that's not a slight against Dave, because I understand, though, to be that good, to be that competitive, takes a different personality than I have.
Are you like that in everything?
Yes.
I play a lot of sports. So
I talked to his college roommate.
Okay.
He's been a prick since he was in college.
I mean, yes, I am competitive, but I don't want to see anybody fail. Do I want to win? Yes. Do I want to see everybody succeed? Yes, but I want to just catch one more fish.
Yeah, the perfect analogy is probably NASCAR, right? Where those guys have teams, they're on a team, they all work for the same racing company, 3 or 4 of them. But they'll still put that guy on the wall if they have to at the end. Correct. Because they want to win themselves. It's an individual sport.
And that's okay.
Yeah. In the meantime, the bounty hunter and those guys, they're talking trash about you, right? And I don't trust this guy, and I got no use for him. and then they're hoping you share your numbers with them. That part continues to boggle my mind.
So do they believe me or when I tell them something or not?
Yeah.
So if I tell them something and they don't catch a fish, I lie to them. You know, it's really put yourself in my shoes. Whether I tell them something or don't tell them something, it's a no-win situation.
Yeah. Even women hate you. That's I think the most amazing. Donna getting upset at you,
Yeah.
I think that's a powerful moment here.
Yeah.
She just can't stand you.
It's tough being the top boat.
Yeah.
can
But you
be
wear
very,
it
very
well.
tough.
Do you wear it well?
I think so.
Yeah,
Do you
he
sleep
does.
I
well
think
at
so.
night? Or does this because deep down, I'm not going to play
I don't
like
let it bother me.
psychologist here.
I don't let it bother me.
But deep down, there's no part of you that's just like, God, why doesn't everybody love me? I'm doing well. I'm killing it. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. Why do I take so much grief?
Oh, I absolutely, yes, 100%. But it's hard. It's hard to accept. You know, so again, it's a no-win situation being on top. It really is. Although you're winning on the show, you're catching the most fish.
Yeah.
You're a winner there. But when it comes to trying to keep everybody civil and in a good mood and trying to keep everybody happy,
Fair enough.
you're a loser.
It kind of brings it back to the beginning of this, where they come to you guys and say, "Hey, we want to do a show about tuna fishing," and there's going to be 4 or 5 boats. You probably had thoughts on which boats might be on there, which boats wouldn't be, which captains had the right personality or the right ability or whatever the case may be. But that whoever catches the most fish at the end of the year, everyone out here, we're doing this in Gloucester. If you can look out the windows, everybody out here at these docks is going to know specifically how many fish you're catching compared to your competitors.
There's no secrets.
And that must have factored in for you, right?
Sure.
Like, hey, I got to win because I have a reputation now.
Well, yeah.
And it's hard when you have a target on your back. If you're not catching and producing, you could be ridiculed. Everybody wants to see that top boat fail.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Do you think that hurt the bounty hunter and Monty and those guys when they didn't catch a lot of fish in the first season or two? Do you think it hurt them and their reputation?
I don't know.
Look, I always felt, and this is just Dave's personal opinion, with not knowing Monty and Donna, other than, again, when I was a young man on a deckhand, when I was Sandro's age, bouncing around the back deck of boats, Monty had a reputation. Again, he was every bit as accomplished as Dave is now, right? Same way people talk about Dave being one of the best now, and I'll agree with that. People talked about Billy Monty back when I was a deckhand before I owned a boat. And on the show, it never seemed like that was captured. But again,
That's because Dave was too busy driving a stake in his heart.
Well,
giving him
yeah,
false
maybe.
numbers.
Right, but again, you have to, on the context of what we were doing, it is what it is. You get what you get. We all have the cameras. We all have the same opportunity when the green light says go. And we live with the consequences of what happens on the boat while those cameras are rolling, right? And, so the fans in TV world have no idea of ancient history. So it did seem like he got a bum deal in one sense, because again, like if I was Bill, and look, we did okay. We had some great seasons. We had some really bad ones too, right? But if I was Bill, I would have been pissed.
But Bill he caught fish before, but he got just too wrapped up in not what he was doing, him and his crew, his boat.
Yeah.
He got too wrapped up in what we were doing.
Yeah.
Like Dave said before, you got to focus in. Yeah, you got to know what's going on elsewhere or what's not going on, but you really got to put 90% of your focus on what you're doing.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this episode by far is, Dave, what you called the Marciano meltdown. I know it's not his favorite part of the episode, and we've talked about how he gets a little embarrassed now kind of watching it, but I love it. I love seeing him yell at Jay. I love the whole thing. You're embarrassed now.
Yeah.
So when you say that it was, this is the first time you're seeing yourself on TV, is literally this episode.
Yeah.
How do you remember how you felt the first time you
yeah,
saw
look,
yourself?
My mom
and
was
poor
sitting by
Jay.
me. My mom was sitting on one side of me, right? And my youngest daughter, Eva, was sitting on the other side of me. And my mom was horrified. She never seen me act like that. She was going, my mom's looking at me like that. My youngest daughter, Eva's going, what does beat mean, Papa? All right? What does beat mean, Papa? And I'll explain it to you later. But, again, so that was a little bit horrifying. But now that being said, and let's face it, it's the audience it's the people, the viewers make the calls, right? Just like all of our little, things that became our thing. Like with me, it was this, or that's because the audience, the viewers keyed in on that, and made comments to the fact that they liked it. This becomes your character.
They loved it.
The Marciano meltdowns, the one thing I hear over to this day, over and over again, and as embarrassing as it is, they say, look, you're just like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So no truth.
People on it. Look, I think part of the attraction of the whole reality TV thing is, whatever reality show you're filming, whether it's Wicked Tuna or anything else, you're following people around in their everyday lives. And we all have moments in our lives that we're not proud of. And anybody who says they don't, and they've done everything perfectly, I'll call them an effing liar right to their face, all right? We all have those moments. So you would think, well, why would I do that in front of a camera? It's because, even though the whole time you're thinking, how do I act? How do I behave? What do I say? I mean, it's just natural instinct. You got a camera in front of you, right?
Yeah.
But, when that moment happens, you've forgotten all about the cameras and all about the people you were, and then
until you see it again,
real life comes out.
Yeah, you see red, right?
Yeah.
I can relate. You had a temper tantrum.
Right.
No truth. You were going for a Prozac endorsement or anything like that.
No.
Well, people love it when you do it.
Yeah.
If that was me yelling at Sandro, I would have had death threats.
Yeah, you would have got killed.
Oh,
yeah.
I shouldn't be yelling like that. It's a horrible
And the best
thing.
part is that Jay just has the, he just looks so
sucked it
sad.
up.
I mean, the poor kid.
I know. And
he's such a sympathetic character, and you're so mean to him.
I felt terrible, right?
I can't wait to see the tape measure.
Oh, well, so you mentioned that, the pleasure of the tape measure. How many times do you think you've rewatched that?
Dude, I took that tape measure.
And in this story, Marciano throws a tape measure when he's mad. It bounces off the windshield, right?
Instant
Bounces
karma.
Right back
hits
in
you
the-
right in the
right in the head.
face.
Right in the back of the head.
Which is
back of the head.
karma in action.
I don't care about all the fish that everybody caught, as big as they were, the wins, the losses. To me, on the show, I've watched most of the episodes. That was the best moment. I took that little clip from where he threw it, hit the window, and hit him in the head, and I posted it on my social media page. And it got like 20,000 views. And people said that they kept watching it over and over and said it was addicting.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, .com, you're and I just got to call you .com because both of you guys are here together. The crazy thing is everyone thinks you're so evil and so mean. Everybody loves to hate you. He's the one yelling at his own nephew, berating
Case in
him.
point, people loved it. And then they hate me for
It
being a
was
nice
an
guy.
educational experience. I should be a teacher.
That's exactly.
If
Put
that
me in the
was
school
me,
system.
if that was me,
I'll straighten these kids out with the wise mouths in no time.
again, a no-win
Give
situation.
me a couple dozen high schoolers, I'll straighten them right out.
And let's not forget,
Jay's mom.
yeah, Jay's mom, who was your sister-in-law,
How did that
she
feel?
had words
That
for you
phone
also.
rang.
Because you're not even really blood with him.
Seconds after that aired, Jay's mom, Roxanne, the phone rang, and I believe her exact words were, I'm gonna kill you when I see you for yelling at my son like that.
So can I ask you a serious question about this? Because it does jump out as you're dealing with Sandro and even Paul to an extent in the early episodes, and you've got Jay and later Joe on the boat. How much of being a captain is working and telling and having those guys do their job as a deckhand or a first mate or whatever? How much of the job is teaching them so that eventually one day they can grow up to be a captain, as all of those people eventually became?
Most of the crews, including Jay and Joe, Sandro and Paul, they've been with us so long, they're pretty well seasoned. But you're set in your ways. You may want to change something as small as it is. And, you got to let them know what you want. But, it's important when we do this, we do it in a way where we're not having them, so to speak, work for us. We need to work together. Mm-hmm. And I always tell my crew, I don't want you to work for me. I want you to work with me. But Sandro and Paul's been with me for, in this episode, 20 plus years. So we're on the same
Like
page.
a team, not a gang,
team.
right,
Correct.
Dave?
But Paul was hard to work with at times. And Sandro was relatively new, but he's quick to learn. You know, I really didn't have to say much to those guys. Those guys could pretty much take the show and run it in the back, you know, without me there.
Are there moments where you kind of take a crew person aside and kind of say, hey, look, one day you're going to be a captain. Here's what you got to know. Here's how you can do this better. It seems like you'd almost have to do some management and leadership along the way on the boat.
I think that happens naturally. Look, that's the natural progression. That's how I wound up running a boat, right? I came up through the decks. Right? I ran somebody else's boat as skipper for a few years. It was that captain share, running that other commercial boat that gave me the money to buy my own first boat. It's almost, there are exceptions to that with people in different situations, but for the most part, that's how it works. But every now and then, what's funny is I've noticed over the years, there are captains out there who don't want that competition eventually.
Right.
So they purposely don't offer that tutelage to the crew, right?
Well, I was thinking about
And
that,
I've
even
always
just who
been
you
open
choose,
to the guys.
Dave, right? Who do you choose? You guys both chose really competent people to be on your boats. As we go through the later episodes in this season, it's clear that one of the captains, I know neither of you are too fond of, has a guy in his boat who's never going to be a captain, and I wonder if that decision is made on purpose.
Not everybody is going to be groomed to be a captain. There are lifetime deckhands.
Mm-hmm. Small little part of this episode is the dragger getting close to the bounty hunter and them losing their mind. And he says, we just got deliberately assaulted by the vessel. I get that it's serious and there's some real danger there. Is that a deliberate assault?
No.
Okay.
No,
They're just doing their job and somebody else.
No, look, those guys got work to do too. And there was a lack of communication there, right?
Can that be avoided?
I wasn't aboard either
communication?
boat. I wasn't aboard either vessel, right? But I've had similar circumstances, whether it's sitting on my anchor tuna fishing, or at times a year I've had tens of thousands of dollars of gear in the water, and we have the same conflicts come up. Those guys are mobile gear, meaning they're towing their net behind the boat, and all the rest of us using fixed gear, whether it's anchored or not. We have to learn to work together with these guys, and rather than screaming and yelling, and even you guys seen, I'm not afraid to scream and yell, right? But I found in this instant,
we know that.
you know that,
Yeah,
right?
poor defenseless
But
Jay.
when the interests of gear conflicts, and that's what I consider that, a gear conflict, he towed his anchors. If you don't know, if there was communication, and it never got to it, but we didn't see the whole story. But when you work around those guys, if you could tell him exactly where your anchor is, meaning coordinates, and exactly where your boat is, it gives him a better opportunity to avoid it, right? Because you can't say, well, it's just off the front of my boat, X amount of feet, right? Because he's limited to what he can do too. He can't drive all over the ocean. A lot of times, these guys are towing down the same tows, the same road that gets towed down by him and 100 other boats, because that's the way through the rocks, or there's a wreck over to the right that, we don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
As big as the ocean is, it's a small
anytime I've been like a gentleman, you go down, you confront the guy on the boat, and I mean in not a confrontational manner. It's happened to me twice. They've towed my anchor away. The guy reimbursed me. He said, go get a new anchor. I'll write the check to pay for it.
Well, that's nice.
Right?
What?
I only throw a meltdown down when I cut it off myself, because I'm the asshole who's going to pay for it.
What about the dead bird they have? And I mean, they get all freaked out and yelling at the Coast Guard about.
I didn't see nothing.
Bird.
I don't know nothing.
All right. So you don't. Is that an issue? You shouldn't have a dead bird on there.
I don't know
right?
nothing.
I didn't even
the
see
dead
it.
bird.
Oh, okay.
I
No,
didn't see
the
it.
dragger has like a dead bird on the front of it, and that's what they're screaming at the Coast Guard about.
The dead bird could have got hung up in the net as they were hauling the net. Could have been stuck in the net.
Could have
when they were
flown
hauling
into the
back.
window. Could have flown into the lights.
Yeah,
Things happen.
I guess anything can happen with those dead birds on the front of your boat. Who knows what it could have been? Maybe they just flew into it.
Sure, it happens all the
on.
time.
You guys are completely full of it. I'll tell you that much. Especially given how much I know you love birds.
You ever see that,
brutal.
Curious? I feel like chicken tonight. Who is it? Stofers?
I know a lot of Marciano's
Stofers
thoughts on birds.
stovetop chicken. That was it.
That must have been it. Yeah. Chicken of the sea. It must have been.
That's
Seagull of
right.
the sea.
Chicken of
Seagull
the
of the
sea.
sea.
I know you've got your fireworks to get rid of the birds. .com. What do you do to get rid of the birds?
Nothing. We just work.
They
we just work
outsmart 'em.
around them. Yeah, we.
You know, look, that's something. Now, there's
You
something.
just wait. Hold on. No. You outsmart
Hold
the
on.
birds.
If you saw these guys are throwing chum in the water, chunks of
Yeah,
fish, and
yeah.
the birds are coming down and diving. If
Yeah.
you saw, I have this container, little screen mesh with a
Weight
weight on the bottom,
container.
and it has an opening on the bottom with a string on this side. We put all our bait in there. We flip it over and let it go down with the string. Hydraulic pressure keeps our bait in there. When we get the bait to what we think is a safe depth, say beyond 30 feet, where that's as deep as these birds dive, we just give it a little pull,
Okay.
and the bait releases out of the bottom, and we're clear of the birds.
And you invented this.
Yes.
Do you have a patent on
I
this?
don't.
You should.
I
Why
should.
don't you?
I should. But
Why doesn't everybody
I
else
don't want
use
to
this?
everybody. If I got a patent, everybody would call me greedy.
See, I'll admit, I learned something watching Dave's boat. I had no idea he did that.
Yeah.
I've known he was out there. I had no idea that was a technique. But what's funny is we both found a solution to overcome the bird problem. Right? Now mine was a little different than Dave's.
Yeah, but you never
But
shared it with me.
ultimately, the same job got done.
Correct.
And both very much according to your personalities too.
Right,
I mean,
right,
I think that's my
well,
favorite
true.
part.
Because again,
Methodical.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I had my way, I would have had the Uzi out there taking care of the birds.
Oh, but not just
unfortunately, that's prohibited and that's frowned upon. And of course, I wouldn't want to kill all the birds.
Right.
But they are annoying. I do want them to go away.
Well, you talked about being a biologist in addition to being a fisherman. And despite the, hey, I don't know what I'm doing exterior, I'm just going to
Right.
shoot fireworks, you got a little understanding. Maybe it wasn't learned in college, but it was certainly learned out on the water of the biology of how this whole fishery works.
And any successful fisherman has that. They have to be in tune with the environment. You have to predict what's going to happen. If you want to predict where the fish are going to be, you have to have some sort of understanding of how the whole ecosystem functions together, right?
So it's not just gut.
Right. The longer you've been out there, the more you can't help but learn. I mean, you'd have to be, living under a rock to not learn something.
Well, here's
by
the
paying
nice
attention.
thing about being out there a long time is the show ended up being on a long time. This
Yep.
is just the very first episode
Yeah.
and our conversation about it. It's all now on YouTube. This is episode 1. There's a whole lot more to go. You can watch all of them on the Wicked Tuna channel and then watch these guys watching the episodes on YouTube. That's pretty cool, and I've gotten a chance to watch them do it. They're pretty hilarious. So, yeah, a lot of fun to come. This is episode 1 of the renewed Real Talk for Wicked Tuna.